SAP S/4HANA allows us to take the business to the next level.
All right. So just a summary, what I liked about this, why I chose this case is, one, they're a very small company in SAP terms. I think there's just a few hundred employees. And they really made the leap to go, okay, we're just going to take the very lowest level possible of SAP public cloud and get started. And no customization, just configuration. As you heard, that required some adjustments in the business. They had to adapt to that. But now that they've got that in place, they have a variety of these different tools that they're working with. Now they have a concrete plan to steadily improve their core platform. So they've gone in, they've done the basics with the finance and some data. Now they're really looking forward to supporting their growth over the next few years using the cloud platform. Another example of a public SAP S/4HANA public cloud platform. This is Mod Pizza. Mod stands for Made on Demand. It's a fast-growing pizza chain in the United States. And one of the things interesting about them is that their slogan is people before pizza. So they sell pizza, they're a retailer, but they know that their people are at the heart of what they're doing. And they actually started off offering jobs to people that might not be able to get a job elsewhere. So people with former criminal convictions, for example, or other reasons that meant that they were hard to find employment. So they actually put people really absolutely at the heart of everything they do as recruiting, and they have a new program to employ the mentally disabled, disadvantaged. And over time, this meant they're going through S/4HANA with SuccessFactors, and again, Qualtrics, because they want to make sure that they know exactly what their customers are feeling, but also their employees at every point. So here's the high level. I'm going to go quickly through these. I have a bunch of examples. Again, at any time, you can go to sap.com/innovation awards, and you'll find all of the details about the business case. So HANA and SuccessFactors with business technology platform in the middle and Qualtrics on the side. Now they actually hire 1,000 people every month. So 10% of their workforce they have to hire every month because it's an area where there's a lot of turnover, especially in the US right now. And so they're relying on the stack of solutions here integrated to make sure that they first try and minimize that number, but then get people on board and productive as soon as humanly possible. So the very day you're hired, you're allowed to submit expense reports, for example. So that just meant integrating the system so that everything is smooth. From day one, the employees are productive. Zymeworks, they're based in Vancouver, in British Columbia in Canada, and they are a biotech company, and they sell this, they have amazing technology to help combat cancer. So what it does is it takes the antibody cells that try and attack cancer, but then they add the drug payloads that can go and attack cells. So it's basically like taking, like chemotherapy and radiation and so on, attacks the whole body. This is a much more targeted. It's in development. No company has fully cracked this yet. Now, I just couldn't resist mid-journey, because this is how I imagine it, with like little divers, and these are the cancer cells, and they're putting like little drops of poison on the cells to kill them. That's the technical version there. So they have, using the cloud platform. In this case, they're using a private cloud because they had some particularly complex needs. Pharma is slightly different from the fit to standard. Again, the business technology platform to do extensions to that. And here's some examples of what they've been using it for: vendor management and self-service HR and finance. Just a nice example of a combination of using private cloud because they had particularly complex needs, but still using a lot of SAP BTP cloud technology to be able to the extensions that they needed for various different activities. Siemens Gamesa is it's a combination of two big wind turbine sustainable companies that came together, and as part of that, Gamesa is in Spain, Siemens is German, and as they brought that together, they ended up with lots and lots of overlapping systems. So they had a S/4HANA One program to bring all of those systems into a single platform. That's been going for the several years, Industry 4.0 approach based on IoT. But in particular, they turned to the cloud so this is S/4HANA private cloud, but they turned to field service management in the cloud for all of their technicians around the world. So that's the advantages of that. They were able to roll it out very quickly to their 4,000 different users, replacing 7 different field solutions. And it means that they can now be much more flexible about how they approach their maintenance. They can move people around from one place to another. And actually, the solution itself is great because it runs on the mobile devices, so the technicians don't have to run up and down the turbines all the time, every time they need to enter data. So it's been a huge success in terms of just win-win-win. Less customization, 50% less complex operations, and at the end of the day, it's increased customer satisfaction because more efficient maintenance means that the turbines go down less often, and so the customers stay happy. Union Pacific Railroads, their American railroads are not like European railroads. They've been a long time, very complex system, very old stock. They've been struggling to modernize. This has been a really interesting project that I followed for the last few years. They have a 3-year RISE with SAP implementation roadmap, and they have an incredibly complex landscape. So over 100 unsustainable legacy applications. So great example of an organization that used to do everything themselves in a little silo, right? The classic old school IT, not invented here. We have to do it exactly our way. And they just ended up with an environment that just couldn't go forward in a modern era. So they're bringing all that together on top of SAP. As you said, we're a legacy company, and they're trying to transform. And a big part of that was they had to start with the culture transformation, the innovation culture, before they did anything with the technology. Right, so they couldn't just go and start implementing S/4HANA. It would have failed. They needed to first spend lots of time bringing everybody on board with the project as a whole, so the people aspect of it. And at the end of the day, it's going to impact 20,000 people, so they really need to make sure that they have people involved and get the buy-in of everybody involved at every step of the day. So that's their environment. We won't go through that in detail, but you can just imagine how complex it is. And they have basically now the full stack of everything cloud with SAP that is all coming together as part of this one big project. Just one of the parts of the project that again appears in their innovation awards was around predictive maintenance. They have billions of dollars worth of rolling stock and stations and so on, and they use an army of contractors to keep all of that maintained. So they rolled out a mobile application using SAP BTP, so you could just quickly take a picture and then provide some information to their core systems. And then they use analytics on top of that, and they're slowly using that to keep track of when it was a predictive maintenance compared to a reactive maintenance, and then examining what goes into which is driving which. How do we get the number of reactive maintenance down across all of their different portfolios? Versuni. So this is another example of it's a short video, so I'll let them do the talking. No sound?
Part of everything we do.
Oh, sorry, let's try again.
At Versuni, our purpose is to turn houses into homes. Consumers are at the heart of everything we do. Each of our innovations is designed to make life at home better, easier and healthier for our consumers all over the world.
After Philips Domestic Appliances, now Versuni, became a standalone company in September 2021, we saw a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to become an insights-led, digital-first company.
We worked with SAP for over 30 years, and we highly value their partnership as we prepare for the next chapter in our journey.
We selected RISE with SAP to build a new technology architecture and business application landscape, and turned to TCS to help us with the transformation journey. Now, with S/4HANA Cloud at the core of a wall-to-wall SAP environment, we're well on our way to becoming the company we need to be. every single system has been newly implemented. From email to accounting, from marketing through manufacturing, and supply chain to customer-facing systems. This, in combination with our new technology and data operating model, will enable us to achieve better responsiveness and continuous technology adoption, which will enable a quicker time to value to meet changing consumer needs and our growth goals.
SAP supports us to create meaningful innovation that make life at home for our consumers better, easier and healthier. And that is future-proofing our business at Versuni.
So really, this was the opposite of some of those other examples. Philips Domestic Appliances already had SAP, and so they had Versuni, the new division, had to carve itself out of the existing SAP systems and then create a new organization around that. So they had all of their existing business processes in place, but they needed it all to work in a new cloud environment. So again, very complex. It had to cover all aspects of the business, and they had to do so with tight deadlines because the whole company couldn't stop while this is going on. So an interesting, tricky project from moving from one environment to the other. And final quick example before I throw it out to questions. This is Smith & Nephew. It's a UK company, and they design things like artificial hips that are tailored to individuals, or particular equipment that helps people get back to health, joints or mobility and more. And in this case, I wanted to have at least one example where it was all around procurement. So they turned to SAP Ariba to help make sure that they got all of their purchasing. And honestly, the Ariba project's not the most exciting project from my point of view, but in terms of business benefits, super exciting. Every time they saved over $200 million US, so increased purchase order throughput, huge increase in employee satisfaction, and greater matching. So just easy advantage of moving their purchasing to the cloud. The fun part was they, from CPO to C3PO, so from the chief purchasing officer to robotic purchasing. They actually worked with a partner called Sapiens 2P, and they wanted to make the whole process easier for people. So everything was done by different teams all over the place with email, and they didn't necessarily use it very often. And so for all these reasons, they wanted to take the existing successful Ariba cloud purchasing system, but then on top add a more intuitive, easy to use interface. So they turned to a chatbot. You can get this from the SAP store. It's called Satori, and this is just a quick glimpse of what you can use it for. So you can see the text. So calculate the number of POs waiting for release over the last month. So just at your fingertips, number of PR, but basically being asked purchasing systems and being able to ask questions as if you're chatting to the chief purchasing officer and you've got the information at their fingertips. And I thought I'd end on this example because obviously this is for procurement, but this basic way of working, I think, will become completely standard in almost every aspect of enterprise computing. We'll still have some dashboards and things still make perfect sense, but a lot of people will just go for these interfaces, perhaps even with voice. Right now we're doing a lot of typing, but the voice to text works very well. So we're now on the edge of those interfaces that we see in the movies. Jarvis in Iron Man, where you can just talk to the computer, hey computer, what's the answer to my business problem, and get the information out. So that's on the edge. We need to start thinking about how we're going to introduce that over the coming years. And of course, we're frantically working, as you saw in the keynote, with SAP employees to make sure that we've got all of the different priorities, opportunities for AI throughout the organization. So if you're interested in that particular chatbot, it is available in the store. Again, a big part of our vision is making sure that as you move to the cloud, you shouldn't have to build too much yourself. We want to work with our partners so that you can just go to the store, click purchase, and have that appear as much as possible seamlessly in your SAP environment. All right, so that was just a quick romp through. We started a little late, so I'm actually 1 minute before I'm due to end. There's a lot more detail in every single one of those business cases. I hope I just wanted to give you a flavor. Innovation awards, not only for S4HANA, but all of the rest of the different tool set. There's some great ones around SAP BTP. I'll be doing, not in the next session, but the session after that. Can't remember what time it is, where I'll be going through something similar, talking about all of the SAP BTP business cases. So with that, I think I'm supposed to finish, but is there any questions before I let you go? One second.
Do you think there's a common thread behind the success of all of these innovation projects that you've showed us now?
I'm sorry, once again?
Is there a common thread behind the success of these innovation projects that you've described?
I guess that the common thread is they were all successful enough for them to boast about it in their innovation awards. One of the problems of my job is I would love to hear more about the failures, because that would be really useful to be able to explain to you what to avoid. But apart from that, I'd say that's a great question. Common thread.
Change management, maybe?
Well, I mean, obviously that's always at the heart of it. I think it's probably just going for it. The very first keynote speaker said, I can't remember how he put it, just like, you have to want to be great. I think they just said, look, we're going to do this and we're going to go to the cloud. And they managed to get the executive momentum and the money behind it to go do it. And I know that is harder than it sounds sometimes. There's a lot of organizations where just get to the point where people, there are a lot of organizations that are still reluctant to move to the cloud. Thankfully, far fewer every year. But I think that's the one thing they have in common is they went for it. So there you go. We'll end with that. Just do it. All right. Thank you for your time.